I do have Patty's number if you know it. Ron, Patty's number. Yeah.
All right, good morning. 6:30.
Morning.
Welcome to quarter four, fourth quarter of the year. So we're down to the final quarter. Got about 3 months left of the calendar year. We're having a good safety year so far, all in all. Let's just keep that momentum going. This week's code of conduct: respect the property of others. It's a good one, especially what we're going to talk about today at the safety meeting about underground utilities. So it kind of correlates with respecting what we're working around and near when it comes to utilities. So another week without a recordable, 16 days as we're now focusing on that quarter four. I want everybody kind of focus on that. Let's finish the year out strong. Historically, usually this is a tough quarter for us because we're pushing to get jobs done. Winter's coming. You know, everybody's trying to look to the future a little bit when we need to really focus on the day-to-day, what's happening today. Let's really do a good risk assessments today. Let's really focus on today and take it day by day, and hopefully we can go quarter four without any reportable injuries. So working around underground utilities, we're going to talk a little two-part series. This one is just kind of that quick awareness. We've had some really close encounters in the last couple of weeks regarding underground utilities. A lot of it's been abandoned stuff, and that's kind of what we're going to talk about next week, what to do with abandoned utilities. But I just kind of want to quickly go over some of the things that's really, really important to on the preventative sides of utility marks is really to respect the marks once they're down. Do a really good walkthrough. Take pictures. Take a video with your smartphone, anything, to be able to identify what we're about to be working in and around is that underground utilities. And again, I just wanted to quickly do a quick review again. Everybody should all know these very well, but just the color coding system, I can't stress it enough. That color coding system is very permanent to what we do. And again, the biggest one is that red and yellow. Those are the real dangerous stuff that we are working around, is that electric and that gas. The communication's not going to hurt us. But again, it's something that could be a high dollar amount when it comes to claims. But red is electric, again, yellow is gas, orange is communication, you'll see blue is water. We won't see purple unless we're working on global foundries. Green is sewer or indoor drainage. And then we really want to use pink for our survey marks, anything like that, so we don't get any confused about any underground location. So respect the marks out there. And some of the things that we really want to do is do a good risk assessment before we get out there and start, removing asphalt, taking out topsoil, pulling stakes out. What do we have, and then how are we going to be able to go back and verify that this is what we're working with? So some quick little ways to maintain it is to create offsets, use grade stakes, use your field books, take any ties off of trees or permanent fixtures, so you can always go back and say, hey, this is where that dash mark was for the gas line or for that power line. Those are the real heavy hitters that we really want to make sure that we get good offsets if we are taking our marks off or we're reclaiming the road and we need to go back, because it takes 48 hours potentially from an on-target locator to come back out and put markings down. Myself, Matt Saganos, Brandon Stringer, Carter Wright, we can get out there and try to do some more locating for you. But again, ideally, we're supposed to call in and remark. So avoid driving machinery over grade stakes. Those spoil piles, let's get those away from our markings. When we bury those and we forget where stuff is, high probability of us maybe potentially reaching that 18-inch tolerance zone, something that we'll talk about down the road. And then just have spare paint in your job trailer. So if you see a faded mark, or you got a laborer or someone that doesn't have anything better to do, just refresh those marks, especially any road jobs that we're doing down in Randolph, or any road work here in Williston that we're doing now. There's a lot of potential for underground utilities. So just keep refreshing those marks so you stand out, and then really talk about these underground utilities in your risk assessments that you're doing on a day-to-day basis, so we can hopefully eliminating any utility strikes moving forward. Is there any questions? Okay, I'll pass it over to Ken.
Thanks, Matt. So we've got just a corporate announcement that Monday is Columbus Day. I guess that's the day that Columbus discovered that America had already been discovered. And it's a federal holiday, but we're still open. So technical tips, we're talking about measurements, and grade rod is today's topic. And just a kind of a summary of how to read a grade rod and what it looks like. And this illustration from one of the suppliers, one of the grade rod suppliers, shows it pretty well. Basically, you start at the red number to 7. If you're at, say, this point, we'll start at that. 7, because that's the major foot mark. And then you go 1, 2, and then I always go to the middle tick, which is 5, and then I either step up when I look at it or step down. In this case, if you're right at that center tick, you're at 725. If you go down 1 thickness, and each the black and the white space are equal distances of 1/100th of a foot. So you go down 1, and you're at 724, 723, 722, 21, and at the number, you're at 720. So it's really I think it's quite an ingenious way of looking and getting quick measurements without, if you didn't have all those ticks, you'd be trying to eyeball and count up, count down, and it wouldn't work very well. So these tick marks are really a great way to identify your elevation. And remember, you'd be looking at this through probably an automatic level or setting your grade rod to that with your signal receiver for the laser. And you would sometimes be looking at a long distance away if you're looking through a scope. So it's easy. It makes it easier to get a quick reading from a far distance.
So 7.25 is 7 foot 3 inches.
Right, we're in 100ths of a foot. So usually when you have an elevation reading, you would be in 100ths of a foot. Sometimes architectural drawings might have inches, so you got to be cautious. So this week we're profiling the Lyndonville WCLR. Is it? I think that's right. 4. That's the VTrans designation for contact number, and it is because in Lyndon, and it's related to the railroad. They have some acronyms to shorten the name for the Washington County Railroad. But anyway, this is a bridge rehab and strengthening project we are doing and finishing up in Lyndonville. And like I said, it's a VTrans job. The purpose of the project was to replace the floor system and other structural members on this railroad bridge at milepost 36.7 in Lyndonville over the Passumpsic River underneath us. So it's a little hard maybe to see here, but we've got the 450 crane extending out inside of the bridge with the 210 John Deere high rail excavator without a bucket on it, handling the materials as well as the crane. A little bit of torch work. I suspect that's probably for the removal of probably rivets or other plates and clips, basically, to hold the existing end. We're replacing that. That would appear to be a floor beam. Remember, floor beams are the ones that cross from the truss over. So it's the main load-carrying pieces of the floor that takes the load over to the big truss sides there. There we go. We can see it from a different perspective. Here's a replaced floor beam. These are stringers underneath the tracks. And then the floor beams take the load from the stringers and bring it out to the trusses. So they're also, as you notice, are tied at these points either at a hanger or at a panel joint for the truss. These are galvanized, built-up members, steel members. And we had a shutdown, so we had the weekend starting like Friday to take out track and to replace these pieces. So pretty impressive that we can in a short period, dissect a bridge, pull apart these structural members, and install new ones, and rebuild and put the track back together for the service to resume on the road over after the weekend. Then for the photo archives, I have a picture of.
John Zeno and Scott Tomlinson. That's in Berlin.
I was gonna say I thought it was Berlin, but I didn't dare put it on there. But yeah, so John is on his knee doing the rebar, and Scott, I didn't notice that as Scott, but Scott was like a project engineer here for a while he was mostly in college, and now he works for Simpson, Gumpertz, and Hager, who we're using as a consultant. They're out of Boston, and they were the consultant, are the consultant for like the Pittsford Bridge work we did, where we did some redesign on the cap, and then also for the culvert projects we're doing in New Haven and Ferrisburg. They're the consultant who are doing the final design work on the precast. So Scott's not actually involved in the work, I don't think, but that's the company he went to. That's what I got. Have a good day out there. My old eyes.
Rodney. Jeff Barber.